Let's take a look at a top-down overview of what we're going to build. A lot of the Angular 2 applications right now, they just dump a lot of code on you for the setup and say, okay, let's start building with Angular 2. I think it's really important that we should build our own setup. This way we know what's going to go into our application and we know how to debug if something goes wrong. So we're going to take this in 4 parts. We're going to set up our project. This will be a very basic HTML file, and we'll be able to load up an HTML file in our browser. And this will consider no Angular 2, no TypeScript, no System.js, none of that crazy stuff just yet. Once we're able to load up an HTML file, just like you would load up a normal project, we're going to build in TypeScript. Now, TypeScript is the way that the Angular 2 team builds Angular 2. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, so really it's just a lot of your JavaScript with a couple extra things. I don't want to get into the TypeScript side of things too much here. We'll be talking about that soon in a couple lessons, but TypeScript is really great. I was very reluctant to start using it myself. I like to stay vanilla JS, but TypeScript has won me over, and I think it is making me a better JavaScript developer. After we're ready to bring in TypeScript, which will handle transpiling our ES6 code down to ES5, and also adding in some extra sugar that TypeScript does, we're going to build in System.js. Now, System.js is required, or some sort of loader, because we're using the ES6 imports. And ES6 imports are not supported by browsers right now. And that's the reason we would need a System.js or something similar like Webpack. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to that lesson. The final thing we'll get to do is build an app with Angular 2. Those 2 steps in the middle there are what's going to turn a couple people off from setting up and using Angular 2. Especially coming from an Angular 1 world, why can't we just include one script tag and start building with Angular 2? The reason is because we want to use all of these great new ES6 features, and the browsers don't support them yet, so we're going to use TypeScript and System.js to build in support for ES6. Let's take a top-down view of our directory structure. We're going to start with step 1. We're going to have an index.html and package.json. The package.json is going to use npm, and we're going to bring in our dependencies with npm that way. Step 2, we'll use TypeScript, and that requires 2 files. Then we're going to build in some System.js, and that requires 1 extra file and a little bit of work inside of index.html. And that is everything we need to set up an Angular 2 application. Then we can actually start building with Angular 2, and that will be under the app directory, where we can put our component, our module, and our main bootstrapping for our Angular 2 application. Really, we're looking at 4 files that are the setup for our project, and 3 files that are the Angular 2 application. All right, that all sounds good. I think it's time to start actually building something. In the next lesson, we're going to set up the index.html for our application.